Recording live in the Hickory Hut studio on the campus of Defiance College, this is The Session with Eminem and Ryan.
DC, students, faculty, staff, whoever may be watching, this is The Session with Eminem and Ryan. Today, we brought in Coach Johnson, who some of you may not know him. He's new to Defiance.
New here?
He is new here, and we're going to do like a little new coach spotlight.
Oh, that was that. Yeah. That was a long intro.
Yeah.
So, Coach Johnson, what brought you to Defiance College and why are you here?
What brought me to Defiance? Well, that was a long story. Coach Manny Matsakis, he was the offensive coordinator when I played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2009. A funny story how he ended up on our coaching staff. He came in as a guest coach, and nobody knew who he was. Nobody expected him to be there longer than a few weeks. And after training camp was over, our head coach at the time, Mike Kelly, he asked Coach Matsakis to stay and be the running backs coach. Well, Coach decided to do it, and he stayed. And after the first 9 weeks, our offense struggled, and him being on our staff, Coach asked him to become the offensive coordinator. So the very next week, our offense went from last in the league to breaking all the records in 1 week with him as the offensive coordinator. So I was like, we should have hired this guy a long time ago.
Yeah.
Where was he hiding at? But, it's just crazy how the world turns. And, him being the head coach here, I saw him at the coaching convention in San Antonio, and we spoke, being that I was a former player of his, and he knew that I was going into coaching. He said if he had a spot, then he would be in contact, and I guess some things kind of worked out here where it didn't work with a guy they previously hired, and he offered me the job.
Oh, nice.
Well, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Are you working with I know football has a defensive coach or whatever. Are you working with a certain offense, defense? What kind of coach will you be here exactly?
Well, I'm the defensive backs coach.
Okay.
That's my position title, and I'll also be working with the kickoff team, so I'm running the show with that as well.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm excited to see you this fall.
Yes, will be. So you talked about being in the CFL.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about some other football opportunities that have come your way.
I've been fortunate, to say the least. A guy my size, coming from Western Pennsylvania, a basketball player at heart, and I started playing football in the 8th grade. Didn't really like it too much. Played quarterback, and I wasn't really a big fan of getting tackled or big guys laying on me and stuff like that because of my size. I didn't want to hurt no bones, break no arms.
Well, how tall are
like
you?
that.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
You're 5'9"?
That's crazy.
Really? Okay. I thought you appeared taller than that when you walked in.
Hey, some people say that. A lot of people say that. If you ask the basketball coaches, I'm 5'10". Really.
They always put an inch on there. I'm 5'4".
5'4.5".
Anyway, interrupted you.
Oh, no. And so I was fortunate. My first 2 years of high school, I went to a predominantly black school. And when I say we didn't do anything, I absolutely mean that we didn't do anything at school, really.
Really?
I played basketball the entire day, and my
Really?
GPA was a 4.4. I don't know how.
Okay.
But I didn't do anything, and I went to school every day, hung out with my friends at school. It was kind of like a social period. Not to knock the teachers, because we did have some good teachers that actually cared, but I think a majority didn't really care too much about what the player or
That's
the
a shame.
students did. And,
Yeah.
so after my 10th grade year, sophomore year of high school, I made a decision, and my parents didn't know about it, but my two best friends growing up went to a prep school in the city.
Okay.
And they wanted me to come play with them, and I was kind of torn.
Basketball or football?
Football.
Football, okay.
Yeah, and I was torn. I was like, you know what? All my other friends I grew up with, they live and go to school here, but when I thought about opportunities and life changes, I was kind of torn, because I was like, I need to get away from here, but I don't want to leave.
So you were thinking about your future more at that point.
So yeah, I thought about the future, and I transferred schools. Again, my mom didn't know about it.
How were you able to transfer without your parents knowing?
Well, I just got the paperwork, got everything taken care of prior to her actually signing the papers, and she worked so much that I just told her I needed her to sign the form, and she never read it or anything. She just signed it and gave it back, so it worked out.
it's her fault. It sounds a little bit too. She signed the paper.
Yeah.
So just curious, how many games at your previous school did she go to cheer on football before she realized you weren't there?
Absolutely none.
Oh, okay.
She didn't. My mother didn't watch me play a high school football game until my senior year, and it was my senior day.
Really?
Yeah,
Did that mean something for you?
it meant something. The only football game she ever been to say the least, are my senior games. So she only seen me play. Well, actually, that was a lie. She seen me play 4 times in college.
Okay.
Each one of those games were against my 2 best friends that got me to go to the prep school
No kid.
and my senior day of high school.
So what
Really?
school did they go? What college did they end up at?
They ended up at the University of Wisconsin,
Oh,
Where did you
okay.
end up
and
at?
I ended up at the great University of Iowa.
All right.
So through all that, well, then from there you went to play in the NFL, correct?
Yep. I
Oops,
went
spoiler
to,
alert. I'm sorry, spoiler alert.
He was in the NFL. Woo!
So I went to the NFL out of college. I should have went to the Pittsburgh Steelers originally, but my agent at the time decided that it was a better opportunity for whatever reason that I go to the New York Jets. And for me, it was probably the worst decision that I've ever made when it comes to my football career. I went to the New York Jets, and I was there for 5 weeks throughout training camps, and I got released 3 times in 5 weeks
Off the Jets.
off the Jets. So I was there. You know, I got kicked out of practice twice.
Kicked
just-
out of practice twice.
Right.
For
You know,
what?
you think that you're doing the right thing, and you still get kicked out of practice for doing the right thing. I've never
Really?
seen anything like it. You know, when you do things the right way, I thought that's what actually keeps you around, but
But not for the Jets.
not for the Jets.
Not-
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Well, that's
not.
the Jets in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, that's why they don't win football games.
Ooh.
Go Browns.
But no, Coach Mangini, you know, I got highlighted a few times in training camp. The first time I got kicked off the field in practice was we were doing a drill, 2-minute drill, and I intercepted a ball in the end zone. And considering that the game's over in 2 minutes and you get an interception, they thought that I should have took a knee in the end zone.
Okay.
But I didn't realize where I was at on the field when I intercepted the ball, so I ran out the end zone,
Uh-oh.
and then I took a knee,
Uh-oh.
and they cussed me out, and I'm like, what? And they kicked me off the field, and I was just like, this is crazy.
Huh.
And I'm like, regardless, and I said to the coach, I'm like, no matter where I take a knee at, the game's over.
Right.
Like, the offense could go on the field and take a knee. They kicked me off the field.
No kid.
That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Insane.
The
Insane.
other side of the NFL we don't hear about.
Yeah, that just shows like how much, like how precise you really have to be, like in order to do things
Oh,
right
it's
in the
crazy.
eyes of a professional. Like that is crazy.
It is crazy. And
So-
then the second time, you know, we doing 2 minute again the very next day,
Okay.
and their star receiver Lavernius Coles, I'm covering him. He comes out, and his job is to block me. And you know, I'm a rookie trying to make a team.
Sure.
I'm not gonna let him block me. So I like snatch him down to the ground, and then the coach stops practice, cusses me out again. He's like, "You don't ever do that to our star player. You know, this guy makes this amount of money." And I'm like, "I don't care." Like,
They brought that up, huh?
yeah,
Wow.
it was really, really, really interesting. It opened my eyes to a lot of things going on in the NFL and how they do things. So,
Huh.
yeah.
Whole side of the NFL. I
So
mean,
when you went to Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
was it different or like? I mean, you obviously played there for a few years, so
Mm-hmm.
like you didn't get kicked out of practice every day. But
you
yeah,
don't know
where
that.
did you?
You don't
I
know
mean,
that.
I didn't get kicked out.
I was gonna say, was it like a whole different world then, kind of when you
It
went
was. It was a whole different world. And my first day, I walk into the Steelers organization building, and I sign a contract and come down, go into the locker room, and the first guy sees Troy Polamalu.
Oh.
Oh,
And-
wow.
And I'm like, okay, now I'm starstruck because like this guy I've been watching for the last few years, and he's amazing, and I played against him in college, but you know, he's just a different breed of a person. And you know, having a conversation with him, a lot of people don't realize that Troy is not the person that people anticipate him to be from watching him play,
Mhm.
but he's a lot different off the field. He's very soft-spoken, and he probably would rather buy a book and read a book or $1 million plant than buy a car for $1 million.
No kid.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
That's Troy Polamalu. So that was my first interaction with the player on the Steelers team, was meeting him. And then from there, you know, everybody just kind of rallied around the fact that I was a free agent guy that nobody knew about, but at the same time, I was talented enough to be there, and they treated me as such. And nobody ever looked at me as, being a guy who, wasn't a part of the team, except for Ben Roethlisberger. But that's a whole different story.
Oh, wow.
He's just a different breed of a person in himself. But yeah, I mean, everybody at the Steelers organization was very family oriented. It was a brotherhood, and you could sense that, and you could feel it every time you step on the field.
That's awesome.
That's very good to hear, but
So
still a Browns fan.
So those lessons that you
Cleveland.
learned or the experiences that you had in the NFL, how are you going to bring that to our coaching staff? How are you going to bring that to our kids?
Well, first and foremost, I got to teach these kids the importance of getting their education and understanding that you don't have the opportunity to do anything other than get your education when you're a college athlete, and that's the most important. But if you get better each day, a little bit better every day, and then you get through 4 years and you look back and see how far you've came just from getting a little bit better every day, then you've realized that you came a long way. So I'm just going to teach them the ins and outs of playing their position and different ways to set themselves up for the future so that they can ultimately have success when they're done.
That's awesome.
I like
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. It seems like you guys are recruiting like crazy. It seems like I saw you retweet like some stuff. Like there's a lot of people committing. So I'm excited.
I was gonna say I like the way you guys are going about your recruiting process too. Like I like how what was it, a weekend ago or a couple weekends ago we had them actually stay on campus for like the weekend.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
they stayed. I like that.
Yeah,
I think
we
it
do.
really gives them an
We had 3 or 4 recruiting weekends where we bring in 40, 50 guys that get to stay overnight, hang out with the players, get a lot of information from the admissions office, and people around the community come in and speak, and just to give them an insight of what happens at Defiance, because a lot of people outside of Defiance probably don't know anything about the city or what happens here. So we bring them here so that they have the opportunity to see what it's like. Be a college athlete for a day or two and see what it's like. Be around our players, ask questions. It gives them a different insight of what's happening. So, and it's helped us a lot. It's helped us in recruiting. We've had over 400 applications for football alone.
Nice.
Kids, and we've probably gotten of those kids that we've had apply. We've had probably about 150 of those kids accepted, and right now we already have about 20-something commits.
So it should be a good full team next year.
Yeah, hopefully we get another 50 of those guys to commit.
Yeah, hopefully.
and then we'll have over 100 players, and we can do a lot of things.
You can do a lot with that. So is the coaching staff trying to bring a D1 mentality to Defiant?
I wouldn't call it that. I mean, I think they just want to do things differently.
Okay.
I mean, there's a reason why the football team hasn't won in the last few years, and the turnover of coaches that have come through here and left is the biggest reason, because you can't build a program with a coach being here for only 1 year.
Absolutely.
So you have to build from the ground up, and our job is to recruit guys that are going to be here for a long time and not just come here for a year and leave. So that's why we recruit so hard.
So next year is gonna be your year 0.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
his
kinda
year
how
0, but
That's
the
what I'm saying.
current.
No, like
Yeah.
like our team, like
We got a new coach last year, and he
Yeah.
called it year 0.
Oh, I
We
see
was
what you're
starting from
saying.
the ground up. We redid everything. So
I
it's
see what you're saying.
like
I
the
see
football
what
team
you're saying.
next year is gonna be a whole different team, I think.
Well, we
I'm
hope so.
excited to see and within the next few years what's gonna happen with the football
Yeah.
team. I just think that it's all gonna be hopefully positive from here. I've been getting those vibes. So
Yeah, it almost feels like, I've been here a long time, and it does feel like, it's been a long time since the football team has had this much buzz.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely
That's
is a good thing.
I mean, I think with everything in life, especially at the college level, if you got a halfway decent football team, it attracts other people to come here.
Absolutely it does.
And at Iowa, our football team, when I first got there, they were okay. We weren't the greatest, but one thing we did do is win a lot of football games in 4 years that I was there, and I think all of our sports teams excelled because of it. And then we started getting recruits for basketball, baseball, softball, and we had good teams across the board.
And we're hoping the football team can do that here.
Hey,
Yeah.
if we could do that, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome, absolutely. So do you have any,
somewhere.
was there any struggle to get the upperclassmen to buy into the new way of thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't here. I've only been here for 2 months.
True.
So, I don't know what the upperclassmen did prior, or what the environment was like. But when I did get on campus and was able to be around the players that we do have, I think the coaching staff that were here did a great job of getting those guys to buy in.
Okay.
And I know that the strength and conditioning has took a very drastic turn
For
from
the
what it was
better?
previous. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think from watching film of the guys that we have and then actually seeing them move on the football field, they've made tremendous strides, and they're going to be a lot better than they were last year.
Well, let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We plan to win the conference.
That's what we want to hear right there.
Yeah.
He slips it in there at the end. He'll put it when it
We
comes.
like
Yeah, we
that.
plan to win the conference.
We
for
like
sure.
that here.
Well, Jovan, we're going to do something with you called the Silly Six. I don't know if you've seen it in any of the shows that you've watched, but the Silly Six, where I ask you 6 quick questions and you give me 6 quick answers.
Got you.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Your favorite pop or beverage?
Grape soda.
Ooh.
A
Faygo?
brand name?
Faygo.
Faygo, yeah. Your favorite fast food?
Arby's.
Ooh.
That's like the
Mozzarella
first
sticks?
one.
I like Arby's.
Arby's is
Yeah,
really
I
good.
like
Oh, I love
Arby's
Arby's.
is good.
Your hobby?
Basketball.
That's still a hobby for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I play all the time.
You should get in the intramural league.
Can you get in the
They couldn't
intramurals?
guard me.
Oh,
Yeah, they have
he's
GA.
spitting some.
They have a GA, like a GA and a coach team.
Oh, is
I'm sure
there?
you could
Well,
play.
you should look into it.
They can't guard me anyway. So not even in football, the recruits can't guard me. So I know that the players can't guard me.
It's not bragging when it's true, right?
I gotta see it to believe you.
I mean, you could look
I'll
it
take
up
your
on
word for it
YouTube.
for
If you YouTube me, you can see me dunking, shooting,
At 5'9".
dribbling. You can do it all.
At
You're
5'9".
doubting?
No,
You're
I'm saying
doubting?
At 5'9", he can dunk it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a YouTube you later.
I'm 5'4" and I can't even barely touch the net.
I can't touch the
I'm
net.
5'3". I don't know why I'm lying.
You guys are taking over the Silly Six here. Come
Sorry.
on.
Okay, next question.
Your favorite show?
First 48.
Ooh.
Your favorite dessert?
Strawberry cheesecake.
Boy, that sounds good.
That's
Are you a cat person or a dog person?
Dogs.
Favorite dog name?
Nala.
Really?
Yep.
That seems like it'd be a big dog.
I have a dog. Her name's Nala.
what kind of
Is,
dog?
is she
A
is she
blue
big?
pit bull.
A pit bull?
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, she's not big. She's probably about 65 pounds. She's a little tiny little thing, but
65 pounds.
yeah.
That's a big dog.
Well, I had 2 of them. Their names were Nala and Simba, but my boy dog got hit by a car.
Oh.
But he was about 100, and he was way bigger than her.
Did you exercise with him? Like,
Yeah, I took him running a lot,
but not ever lift him up.
But
No,
no.
even though.
Why? I've picked up an animal and I've gone, I could, like my dog, I could
Okay,
do
what
this.
kind of dog do you have?
I could do this. Well, my dog is.
He has a chihuahua.
I have a chihuahua.
That's what he's been doing. No, with the
I have a
chihuahua.
stuff dog at home I pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem is here. I'm doing like reps like nothing. Anyway. Yeah, if there's one thing people see when they look at me, it's that I must work out, right? Well, Jovan, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank
No
you.
problem. I appreciate it.
If you want to get a hold of him, it's probably Jay Johnson, right?
My email,
Yeah.
jjohnson@defiance.edu.
Is there a better way that they can follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is On The Island, ONTHE Island, the number 2. That's my
Okay. On
That's
that.
my
Nice.
tag for football.
Nice.
Because I felt like as a defensive back, I'm always on the island. And if you come on my island, all flights get canceled. That's my.
Oh, that's got a whole thing here.
That's my thing,
If
you
you're
know.
on the island, your flights. Oh, I like
Yeah,
that.
That's
know
awesome.
Where to go?
Any other social media plugs?
I got Twitter, Mr_consistent_2.
Mister?
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Defiance Football, I think, has their own Twitter if you want to follow that too.
Yeah. DCFB football.
There you go. So, again, thanks for being a part of the
Yeah,
show.
thank you.
I appreciate
you so
that.
much.
This has been the session with Jess. This has been the session with Liz. This has been the session with Ryan. See ya.